Hi, this is Brad Parks with Morpheus Data. I want to spend just a few minutes giving a quick demo of how Morpheus can be used with HPE infrastructure to enable private or hybrid cloud very, very quickly. So I'm going to run through a few slides, then I'll actually switch over and give a quick product demo. So one of the key things that we look at when we're talking to customers about private cloud is how hard it is to integrate all of the various components. HPE has done a fantastic job with its composable infrastructure strategy and exposing the physical infrastructure programmatically via the unified OneView API. The challenge that comes into play when you're really looking at hybrid IT, though, is there are so many other programmatically driven pieces that also have to be connected. It's why many private cloud projects ultimately fail. So Morpheus comes into play by bringing all of these software definable components into a centralized framework so you can get self-service, provisioning, elasticity, and everything you need out of a private cloud, while at the same time standardizing how end users are provisioning into the public cloud in a well-governed way. So the heart of the Morpheus platform really is this concept of self-service. To arrive at that, though, there are several other functions that we have to provide. So first, Morpheus has capabilities to attach to existing brownfield environments. That could be a vSphere cluster, could be an AWS account. We will go talk to those cloud endpoints, ingest all of the information, and actually provide some initial right sizing and guidance around cleaning up those environments to be more cost efficient and maximize hardware utilization. Second, we're going to put into place a set of very fine-grained role-based access policies by connecting with a customer's identity management service, setting up groups and roles, and then applying policies to those groups so that end users can only provision into the clouds that IT governs and using the guardrails that IT puts in place. These first two sets of features really do appeal to the ops side of the equation, but you also have to serve the needs of the development community if you want these types of projects to be adopted. So for developers, we can model out application blueprints. We can do that using our own infrastructure as code DSL. We also support technologies like CloudFormation, Terraform, ARM, and others so that you can inject this application stack build process into your continuous delivery pipeline. And you can do it in a consistent way across multiple platforms and clouds. So that could be bare metal, VM, could be container-based with Kubernetes, can even take advantage of public cloud PaaS services. And then lastly, we provide self-service for day two operations. So taking that application that's been provisioned, providing scaling, self-service access to things like monitoring, logging, backup, and even operational workflows. To help customers get up and running very quickly, we've built out over 80 native integrations with most of the common technologies that you'll find on the data center floor. So adding a ServiceNow integration, for example, is just a matter of clicking a button, opening up a dialog box, and entering in a few basic data points so that we can then bring these tools into an operational framework and apply them to the workflow of provisioning and managing application services. From a physical perspective, we've actually built this out in a reference architecture you can download from hpe.com, but essentially Morpheus can install as either an all-in-one single VM or can also install in a scale-out cluster to provide additional levels of resiliency and performance. But most of our customers are actually running a single node on a VM and supporting 5 to 10,000 application workloads. So we can sit on top of virtually any x86 hardware platform. Most cases, people are running us as a VM in VMware, installing the Morpheus package on top of one of the many flavors of Linux that we support. Once we're installed, we connect to the cloud platforms, and I use cloud maybe a little bit differently than you may have sometimes heard of it. In our case, cloud just means something that we can attach to from a compute perspective and turn into an elastic and on-demand resource. So from a bare metal perspective, that could be HPE OneView. From a VM perspective, that could be VMware or Acropolis from Nutanix. For Kubernetes, we have our own built-in Kubernetes service, or we can connect to HPE's container platform. But once we do connect to those underlying compute primitives, we then wrap around the self-service catalog, the role-based access, all of the integration into the rest of the third-party technology set, so you truly get that self-service experience. So now I want to do just a quick demo. You can demo Morpheus for literally hours, but I want to give you a little bit of a flavor so that you can take this information and come back and we can do a deeper in-person demo later. So this is the Morpheus interface. As I mentioned, we install typically on premises on a VM. Once you log in, you get an operational dashboard that has a lot of good information about your environment, what instances are provisioned, any alerts. You get a full audit log of what's been done. But if I look at our core use case around self-service, one of the first things you have to do is add a cloud and bring it into management. So we have this concept of a group, which is a logical abstraction that wraps around a set of clouds and then enables you to apply policy to those clouds, do reporting, etc. So if I pick on our demo group, which has a number of different clouds installed, you can see that we've got several AWS accounts, Azure, but I also have HPE OneView. So in this case, I've attached to a Synergy frame that's sitting in our data center via the OneView API, and I could get a lot of good statistical information. I can see what kind of networks I have in place, what's been provisioned into these different server blades, some of the health information that I'm getting from the composer on top of Synergy. I can use this integration to then deploy a bare metal cloud and provision workloads onto that cloud. I can see what load balancers I may have attached to that cloud. So this is setting up the cloud itself, but I can do the same thing around things like VMware. So if I go back a level and look at what other clouds I have deployed, setting up a VMware integration is just a matter of going in to my cloud page, clicking add. I mentioned earlier, giving it some information, attaching to the SDK, providing my credentials, and from there, I'm off and running with the ability to provide self-service provisioning into this environment. We know there's a lot of VMware running on top of HPE infrastructure. It's probably one of our more popular cloud technologies that we integrate with. When it comes to provisioning an instance, I go into my instance catalog, I can click add, and I'm given a service catalog. It's fully customizable. You can import existing image templates from VMware. I'm going to do this real quick since we're trying to just give you a little taste. But if I click on Apache, click next, I select my group, which in turn informs what clouds I have access to. I'm going to do this onto my VMware demo cluster. I've got a naming policy that's being enforced here to make sure my environment's easy to understand. This can be loosely or strictly enforced. I click next. Then I pick what layout this Apache service actually can be deployed either as a container or as a VM on Linux. I'm going to pick the VM-based model. That then informs a set of t-shirt sizes like you would get from an AWS. I pick a plan made up of CPU, memory, storage, and I can attach a price to that plan, even on premises. So you really are getting an AWS-like experience on-prem. You can see here it's generated a price, and if I click this little $sign, I actually get a comparison of what this plan would cost me in other clouds that I have access to. I pick a resource pool for my storage. I can select some other information. I can expand it, add disks, pick a network. In this case, it's actually going to go out using my Infoblox integration and assign me an IP out of a pool automatically, just like it would in the public cloud. I can assign users, do some advanced configuration. I'm going to skip that for now and just click next. Then I can run automation workflows. You can embed automation like config management into the base image itself for this Apache service, or in this case, I can run those after the fact. And I may do a number of different things, but we support Chef, Salt, Ansible, Puppet, Bash, PowerShell, Groovy, REST, a number of different automation technologies, and you can build those into workflows that are then run and attached to this service so that automation can be pulled into place as part of the application lifecycle. I can deploy code onto this service even, because I know it's running Apache. If I want to actually go deploy my website, I can do that. Let's skip that for now. I can attach it to a load balancer, so I can easily connect to F5, Avi, A10, other load balancers. I can set up elastic scaling rules, so I can add nodes to this service behind that load balancer if I hit different memory or CPU thresholds. I can even automatically attach backups using integrations into things like Veeam, Zerto, Commvault, all of which are good HPE partners. Then lastly, I have some lifecycle choices here. I can set a power schedule. In this case, my administrator has forcibly set a policy so that anything I provision will shut down in 1 day and expire in 2 days. I click next, and I'm ready to provision the service. So very quickly, that was a high-level overview of self-service using Morpheus on top of HPE infrastructure. That workflow I just ran through Apache could have been provisioning. In that case, I showcased it into vSphere running on HPE Synergy. I could do that same thing deploying a bare metal image directly onto one of my Synergy blades. It's a very powerful and flexible way to turn HPE infrastructure into a full hybrid cloud experience. Hopefully that gives you a little bit of taste of what we can do. Please go to morpheusdata.com/demo if you want to set some dedicated time to go into your own use case and expand on the capabilities of the platform. Thanks and have a great day.